Hi, so I wanted to make this first video as kind of introduction to myself, but also talk about what the Great Awakening is and give my own awakening experience. And also just talk a little bit about what I hope to accomplish with this YouTube channel, like why am I even doing this? So I think we'll start there. Some of you may have heard of the Great Awakening before in its relation to QAnon, and some of you have maybe never heard of either of those things, and that's cool too. I'm not even going to attempt to get into Q in this introduction just because it really requires its own video or even series of videos, which I actually plan on doing next, so stay tuned for that. But basically, ever since I started posting about Q on my social media, I have been getting a lot of private messages about it from friends, family, and total strangers. And one of the things that I was noticing about these messages was that whether or not they started off kind of angry or combative, and a lot of them did, they were actually turning into some very positive and productive conversations. And a lot of these same topics and ideas and thoughts and feelings were coming up in each of them. It was almost like I was having the same conversation over and over and over again, just with different people. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool and perhaps even important to maybe have these conversations in a more public forum where more people could not only observe them, but also contribute and participate, and so more people were benefiting from them. So that's essentially the idea behind this YouTube channel, is just to create dialogues. So what is the Great Awakening? I believe if you Google it, you will find some historic event from like the 1700s that was also called the Great Awakening. That is not what we are talking about here. We are talking about the more current Great Awakening, newer and hipper, that essentially refers to the idea of a worldwide raising of consciousness that's happening. And it just seems that there are more and more people around the world that are expanding their thinking and actually opening up their minds to possibilities of things that they've been closed off to in the past, and just seeking more knowledge outside of, the realm of what they've been told. So part of it also has to do with the idea that there are some major truths about our world that have been hidden from us. So we have all been allowing others to vet our information for us and spoon feed us narratives. And we just accept it because we trust their authority. And I've been guilty of it too. But there is a vast shift currently happening where massive amounts of people have all stopped sleepwalking, in the sense that, they're letting others tell them what to think and feel and believe. And they are deciding to actively look into things for themselves. More often than not, uncovering major contradictions and even falsehoods to the narratives that we've all been given. So people all over the world with different lives and backgrounds and interests and areas of expertise are all independently searching for the truth and sharing their findings with others, and somehow all coming up with a similar big picture. My awakening experience started almost exactly a year ago. So I really dove headfirst into this in February 2018. But previous to that, I had always sort of joked with people calling myself a conspiracy theorist, even though I knew that term was created as a stick to beat people with who just challenged the official narrative to anything, and I saw something majorly wrong with that. I just wasn't into arguing with people over the things I believed. And some of these things get very heated. People are very passionate about them and get very angry at you for not seeing things the exact way that they see them. So it was almost a way of just disarming them by making fun of myself and calling myself, a conspiracy theorist. And although I was fascinated by, the strange possibilities of our world and had this really undeniable intuition of that there was more out there than we were being told, I really didn't let myself go too far down the rabbit hole. That is until last year, when I began looking into a particular conspiracy theory that we won't name here because of censorship, but we'll say that it has to do with some very dark and disgusting things involving children. And it is commonly referred to with the name of a flat Italian dish made of bread, cheese, and sauce. Anyway, I had avoided looking into it for a really long time. One, because of the terrible nature of what it was about. And two, because actually one of the first things I ever heard about it was that it had been debunked. So why put any energy into something so horrific when it's already been debunked? But one night in my conspiracy theory group on Facebook, the topic came up, and for some reason this time I just had this intense urge to look into it for the first time. And I remember thinking to myself, well, if it isn't real, then I'm going to find that out and it'll be a relief. But if there's even a small chance that it is, then it's actually kind of despicable of me to turn a blind eye and pretend that it doesn't exist without even bothering to look into it for myself. So I started to research. I did not sleep that night. I cannot tell you the things that I found and saw with my own eyes, and I couldn't believe what was just out there for public consumption if you were willing to just look. I was floored. I was floored by it, and I didn't understand why this wasn't the only thing that people were talking about. Why wasn't this the only thing on the news? I wasn't hearing about this anywhere. The only thing I was hearing was that this was debunked. But, so it blew my mind. And I wish I would have known then how important this research would be, because I wish I would have documented my process, writing down each site I went to and, what I clicked on. Because as I'm sure a lot of you know, online research is not linear. It's like a coral reef, right? You start somewhere and it takes you over here, and then you click this link and it takes you over there, then you click this link and it takes you over here. And it just keeps branching and branching and branching, right? So going back to try to retrace your steps is almost impossible, especially because of censorship. I had a few links written down actually that I tried to go back to months later, and they had already been scrubbed. They were gone from the internet. So that was really frustrating. But after my research, which ended up lasting 3 days and 3 almost completely sleepless nights, I was a completely changed person. On that final night, I literally went through all 5 stages of grief, and I could feel immediately that I would never be the same again. It was really heavy. And I woke up that next morning and I was like, great, now what? Now what do I do? And I went back online looking for help or direction. I don't even know what I searched for or what I was hoping to find, but thankfully that day is when I found out about Q. And I say thankfully because I literally don't know how I could have survived much longer with the information I now had if I had not found some light at the end of literally the darkest tunnel I could imagine, some hope. As I said before, I won't get too much into what Q is here, but I will say that Q is essentially like a laser pointer that shows you what subjects to look into in order to find out the truth about the world that we live in. You end up finding out that not only are some of the conspiracy theories that we've all heard of possibly true, but that they appear to all be connected. And there are some terrible things happening in the world at the hands of some very powerful people. And ultimately, and I think most importantly, you end up finding out that there are good forces operating behind the scenes to do something about it currently. So I spent the majority of last year just researching everything I could get my hands on. It was literally all I did last year was research. And it started online, which kind of sucked because my computer crashed. And so I was doing most of this stuff by my phone. But then I moved on to books and documentaries and found other researchers who were looking into these same subjects and posting their findings on 8chan and YouTube and even on Twitter and in Facebook groups. And it was uncanny to me how aligned their findings were with what I had been uncovering myself in the privacy of my own home. So it really made me believe there was something to all of this. These topics cover everything from politics to spirituality, science, religion, history, you name it. Literally everything that we deem important. And the spiritual stuff was really what grabbed me first. That was what I was most interested in. So that was where my research tended to gravitate. But, like I said, everything is connected. So you can start off with one topic, but it will eventually lead you back into the others. You almost can't help but get back into all of the topics once you get far enough into one of them. So the interesting thing is that you've got all of these people out there worldwide researching these important topics completely independently and sharing their findings with others. It's almost like each person and their research is a tiny pixel on this big picture that's all coming together and becoming more clear. And the result is that we are creating this big picture that is almost totally cohesive. And I think that alone is pretty telling. What started to become kind of very clear to me, at least, was how much we've been lied to and manipulated and really pitted against one another. And I noticed so much manufactured division and just fear and this clinging to beliefs to the point where discussion becomes useless. And people seem unwilling to even consider anything that doesn't already align with their current beliefs. And I was once there myself. This is a super dangerous place to be in, I think, because we need open dialogue. As heavy as some of these topics are, it's actually imperative that we're able to talk about them. And, I think a good example of that would be the bread, cheese, and sauce topic that I brought up earlier. You even say the term and you're shut down by censorship online or even in person. People will jump down your throat. We shouldn't fear discussion. It's like they say, sunlight is the best disinfectant. Even when we're sure that we have the answers, we should constantly be challenging our own beliefs and even our so-called facts. Real facts are not threatened by challenge or re-examination, right? If a fact is a fact, it's going to come back to you. So what I hope to accomplish with this YouTube channel is not to change minds necessarily, but just to open them and to create dialogue, to really make it okay to discuss important things, the really hard stuff, and to not shut each other down. I will say that I am an expert in no area and an authority on nothing. So I'm going to get some things wrong from time to time, but I think that's just what happens in research. There's going to be some trial and error. But I promise I will always be forthcoming with my information or lack thereof, and admit when I find out I've been wrong about something, and just be totally candid about my process. The point is not to get you to believe me or to agree with me. It's really just to get you looking into things for yourself with an open mind. So on this channel, I am going to take you through some of the information that I found this past year that really shook up my belief systems and got me to open up my mind. The things that amazed me and shocked me and horrified me and ultimately gave me hope. It's been a very wild ride, and I just want to continue on it with you. I'm excited to see the things that we uncover together, because really, to me, this is a collective effort, and it will just be cool to wake up together.
I need to warn you, the conclusion of this video is so disturbing, I was conflicted about making it at all. But in honor of the many hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of faceless, nameless, forgotten victims of these satanic pedophile and pedivore networks, here goes. Before we begin, have you ever wondered why the FDA, Big Pharma revolving door of fascism, never wants us discussing remedies which may exclude them? The child in this video is being given CBD oil and the results speak for themselves. Do your own research, but many people report remarkable results when they use CBD oil. And the CBD oil from naturalhempoil.com can help you optimize recovery and feel better, and it's non-psychoactive. And naturalhempoil.com cultivates their hemp in Europe, and it's grade A certified. Their flagship product are the drops in blueberry and strawberry flavors, and they're very potent. Get free shipping on orders over $100. Visit naturalhempoil.com to learn more. I'll provide the link below this video. I continue to see a few random negative tweet replies and comments on YouTube that say we are all delusional for trusting Trump, or as Q says, the plan. Nothing will change. No one will ever go to jail, they say. This despite President Trump's explicit statement that he and his administration are waging a war to end the horrific crimes of child and human trafficking. This despite the fact that President Trump just signed a bill on Wednesday to combat online sex trafficking. And despite the fact that Backpage.com has been shut down, and according to Breaking911.com has just pled guilty to human trafficking in Texas, and its CEO, Carl Ferrer, has pled guilty to money laundering. Think about that. Noted as the largest online sex trafficking marketplace in the world, Backpage facilitated the sex trafficking of innocent women and children through sites it ran in 943 locations in 97 countries and 17 languages. And now, thanks to the Trump administration, the Backpage site looks like this since April 6th. So for those who continue to say, Q is a LARP, nothing will change, and no one will go to jail, I give you Backpage and its CEO, who will be sentenced up to 5 years in prison once he fulfills the terms of his plea agreement with the Attorney General's office. His cooperation in the ongoing investigation into Backpage could lead to other criminal charges against individuals associated with the company. So, for the eternally negative, I ask, where is your outrage against the evil, and where is your fighting spirit? As I tweeted on Wednesday night, if the French can arrest their former president, Nicolas Sarkozy, for taking millions in bribes from Gaddafi, then we, the American people, who saved the French in World War II, can certainly see to the arrest of the witch known as Hillary Clinton for killing Gaddafi.
We came, we saw, he died.
And for taking hundreds of millions in bribes from governments around the world. And worse, far worse. Q continues to describe these people as pure evil. I thought I had a handle on what that meant. It's worse.
And I want to predict to you here today that when the tables turn, Donald Trump will be invoking military tribunals, and even Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama are going to be facing treason charges.
If and when Barry Soetoro and Hillary Rodham Clinton are arrested for treason, President Trump will be doing them a favor by saving them from the mob. As Q has stated repeatedly, there will come a time none of them will be able to walk down the street. Why do you suppose that is? If you listen to CNN, the problem of child sex trafficking and pedophilia in Washington, D.C., known as Pizzagate, has been debunked.
The lie took root in the digital swamps of Twitter and far right-wing websites.
Even former Fox News anchor Megyn Kelly did her part playing damage control for Comet Ping Pong owner James Alefantis by giving him a shoulder to cry on.
James, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
What a terrible ordeal this must have been for you.
It has been.
Rather than ask him the tough questions like, why do you compulsively upload pictures of sexualized infants? Why are the bands who perform at your restaurant using the same pedosexual imagery? Why do you promote your restaurant as family-friendly while hosting events where people make jokes about pedo rape and strangling newborn infants?
Jared is known to hang out down here. He likes the world sounds. Tamales.
And little boys.
And children.
And what about the picture on Instagram labeled Kill Room? What was that all about? Far from being debunked, Pizzagate is merely the tip of the global child sex trafficking satanic ritual abuse epidemic known as Pedogate. History is littered with the horrors the satanic elite have committed against children, from Countess Elizabeth Bathory, who butchered and bathed in the blood of at least 650 servant girls she tortured and murdered, to the case of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip and the 10 native children who they took from the Catholic-run Kamloops residential school in British Columbia. The children left for a picnic with the royal couple on October 10, 1964, and were never seen again. According to the International Tribunal into Crimes of Church and State, royal family members also appeared to regularly participate in Ninth Circle satanic cult rituals at Mohawk Indian School in Brantford, Ontario, Canada. A court document had been filed indicating that in January 2012, UK Archbishop of Canterbury Justin Welby acted under the direction of Queen Elizabeth to destroy forensic remains of a Ninth Circle satanic cult child homicide. 2 eyewitnesses have testified that as children they were present during this same murder of a native child. The 2 eyewitnesses allege they saw a young girl being bound to an altar. The 5 or 6-year-old child was gagged, repeatedly raped, killed, disemboweled, and dismembered. Her blood was consumed by 9 red-robed figures that included a member of the British royal family. And then there's Jimmy Savile.
All the scraps, all the bones, all the hair. That's it.
Whose crimes against hundreds of children over more than 3 decades went unabated and unpunished. Savile also trafficked children to the elite in London while enjoying a very close friendship with Prince Charles and a knighthood by the Queen. And don't forget about Sir Edward Heath, who served as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom from 1970 to 74, who has been implicated in the ritual murders of 16 children. And then there's Church of England Bishop Peter Ball, whose pedophilia over a 20-year period was covered up by a string of senior establishment figures, a high court judge, public school headmasters, and magistrates who came forward to support him, as did a high-ranking member of the royal family believed to be Prince Charles, according to HumansAreFree.com. And of course, Sir Peter Telford Hayman.
The pedophile who called himself Peter Henderson was in fact Sir Peter Telford Hayman, Deputy Head of the British Secret Service, MI6, one of the most powerful men in Britain. Hayman was caught with diaries full of sadistic sexual fantasies about children. But the spy chief was allowed to walk free.
Are you beginning to get the picture? You just can't make this stuff up, any more than you could call John Podesta a pedophile without being sued if it wasn't true. Of course, that's exactly what Andrew Breitbart did in 2011 before his untimely and suspicious death. How Prague guru John Podesta, Breitbart tweeted, isn't a household name as a world-class, underage, sex slave op cover-upper defending unspeakable dregs escapes me. And John Podesta's brother, Tony's taste in morbid child bondage and other disturbing art has also given investigators pause, as has their still unexplained whereabouts the week in May 2007 when little Madeleine McCann was snatched. Nor has the suspicion that the Podesta brothers were staying at the villa of known pedophile Sir Clement Freud, the grandson of Sigmund Freud and former member of the British Parliament, just blocks away from where Madeleine was last seen. This police EFIT sketch of a suspect sought in her disappearance raises many questions. Podesta art, Podesta emails, Podesta and Clinton ties to James Alefantis and Comet Ping Pong, the Jimmy Comet Instagram posts, and the Clinton Foundation's activities in Haiti, where Laura Silsby was caught at the border trying to traffic 33 children out of the country. It was the Clintons who came to her aid. The picture I've tried to paint for you here is that the plague of human trafficking globally is systemic. And in this video, I have merely scratched the surface. We've not even covered the business of sex trafficking of women and children in Saudi Arabia and Israel, as I've covered in past videos. Nor have I discussed the on-the-record human trafficking involving DynCorp, which Representative Cynthia McKinney so bravely exposed as she grilled Donald Rumsfeld on March 11, 2005. I've left out the Franklin cover-up in the United States and the Hampstead cover-up in the UK. I want to end this video with just one maniacal, evil witch in the crosshairs, Hillary Rodham Clinton.
What difference at this point does it make?
I believe it's a miracle that she is not sitting in the Oval Office today, because she is a trusted ally and, to those in the highest echelons of power, a willing puppet who would have protected the slave rings and slave traders I've outlined in this video. Q has stated repeatedly, there will come a time none of them will be able to walk down the street. Biggest fear? Public awakening. Anon researchers are now digging deep into the flight logs of Jeffrey Epstein and the layout of his occult-riddled private island, Little St. James. His close friend, Bill Clinton, flew there more than 20 times. Pure evil, Q says. Hillary flew there on several occasions as well. There will come a time none of them will be able to walk down the street. But we've already seen the worst of these people, right?
We came, we saw, he died.
It couldn't get worse than illegal wars based on lies leading to the deaths of millions, could it? Recall the statement from NYPD insiders who watched video found on Anthony Weiner's laptop, said to feature Hillary Clinton and Huma Abedin engaged in something horrible with a child. Even the most cynical Hillary haters among us assumed it was likely a video of Clinton and Abedin engaged in sex with a child. And this is another warning. Turn this video off now if you don't think you're suited to hearing just how pure evil these people can and may be. There is a new term researchers and QAnons are using to describe the activities of these people. Pedovore. Remember, these people are sick, but not criminally sick. They know what they are doing is wrong. 100% death penalty. When you think pedivore, think carnivore of children. According to several researchers on Twitter, the video on Anthony Weiner's laptop has been seen and may already be in part released on the dark web. According to John Miranda, the first details of the horrific HRC video are coming to light. What exactly could bring hardened NYPD detectives to vomit and cry? Just reading some details is cause for nightmares, truly horrific nightmares. No one wants to see this video. The military tribunal judges that are called upon will view it, together with a handful of attorneys. A couple of specialists from the NSA will give a public statement stating that the video was authentic. Some still shots will probably be publicly released, but no one wants to see this video. This satanic monster is still hailed as a fallen heroine by the overwhelming majority of our mainstream media. You now need to ask yourself just how many of them are also involved in the satanic pedophile syndicate. The evil ones among us protect each other. They have done so for centuries. They all need to be fully exposed as well. Where we go one, we go all. It is their end, not ours. And according to this researcher, well, the hostile Lecter Hannibal level of the evil described as being seen in that video prevents me from even reading it. But I'll leave this screenshot up for you to read at your own discretion. It's beyond horrible. It's pure evil. There will come a time none of them will be able to walk down the street.
There was a tramp who was brought in once, and he was killed. He was cut from his throat down to his stomach, and they ate him, or bits of him.
They killed a man at a ceremony?
Yeah.
In front of you?
Yeah, in front of all of us.
Did the tramp, did this man fight back?
No, I think he was, drunk or something. He seemed really dopey. He was laughing a lot when he was brought in. And he started screaming when they began to cut. But after a while, he died. I'd seen a few killings before then. Although I wasn't used to it, that was the worst one. I really don't know what I thought. suppose I thought, thank God it's not me.
Let me get this right now. Are you saying that you saw more than one person killed in that house?
Yeah. I've seen loads of babies killed there. Just newborn babies. Or aborted ones, which were only small. You know, 4-year-olds. Any age, really.
Did they ever say they might kill you?
They threatened to kill my little girl, who, when I left, was still at the house.
A friend?
Huh?
What little girl?
My little girl, Alex. She's about 4 now.
You mean you had a child?
Yeah.
How old were you when you had that child?
11.